Our ears are extraordinary organs. They pick up all the types of sounds around us and then translate this information into a form that our brain can understand. Let's discuss different parts of the human ear. It has three main sections: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. Outer ear. The outer ear or external ear is a visible portion of the ear. It collects and guides sound waves into the middle ear. Middle ear. It is an air-filled cavity and consists of the following parts: the eardrum, also known as tympanic membrane. It is a thin membrane that acts as a partition between the outer ear and the middle ear. Three small bones located next to the eardrum: malleus or hammer, incus or anvil, and stapes or stirrup. The oval window. It is a membrane-covered opening which leads from the middle ear to the vestibule of the inner ear. Inner ear, as the name suggests, is the innermost portion of the ear. It is filled with a water-like substance and comprises both hearing and balancing organs. The eustachian tube is a tube that connects the middle ear to the throat. It equalizes air pressure on both sides of the eardrum, preventing it from damage. Cochlea. It is a coiled tube filled with a fluid having receptors to detect vibrations. Auditory nerve. The electrical impulses generated by nerve cells are then passed on to the brain. Three semicircular canals are situated at right angles to each other. These fluid-filled loops are attached to the cochlea and help in maintaining the balance. Let us understand how we hear sound. The source of sound produces a train of compressions and rarefactions in the air. These waves enter the outer ear and travel through the ear canal to the middle ear. Moment the air near the eardrum is compressed, it pushes the eardrum inwards, and as it is rarefied, it moves the eardrum outwards. In this way, the waves cause the eardrum to vibrate. The eardrum passes these vibrations on to the three tiny bones present in our ear, and that make each of the interconnected bone to vibrate. The interconnected bones behave like a lever that increases the displacement during vibration. So, the displacements of the stirrup become manifold that of the eardrum. Thereby, the amplitude of the wave gets amplified. From the smallest bone stirrup, the vibrations pass into the inner ear. The vibrations travel into the cochlea and convert these vibrations into nerve impulses. Auditory nerve carries these nerve impulses to the brain that interprets this information as a specific sound. In general, sound means those vibrations composed of frequencies capable of being detected by ears. It is the ear that differentiates the sound of different types. For example, a violin and a flute may both be played at the same time in an orchestra. Both sounds travel through the same medium and arrive at our ear at the same time. both sounds travel at the same speed irrespective of the source. But the sounds are received by our ear are different. This is due to the different characteristics associated with the sound. When we stand close to an audio system, the sound produced by it appears very loud, but the same sound appears faint when we stand far away from the audio system. It means sound as heard by us depends on many factors such as amplitude and frequency of the sound, etc. We know that men's voices are grave,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
while the women's voices are shrill.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
How a brain interprets the frequency of an emitted sound is called the pitch. The faster the vibration of the source, the higher is the frequency and the higher is the pitch. If we plot the graph of sounds, it can be noticed that the sound of high pitch has more number of vibrations than that of the sound of low pitch. Thus, a high-pitched sound corresponds to more number of compressions and rarefactions passing a fixed point in unit time. Objects of different sizes and conditions vibrate at different frequencies to produce sounds of different pitch. Let us see the examples of sounds of low pitch and high pitch. Noise of the engine of a vehicle is the example of sound of low pitch. Whereas the chirping of a bird is the example of high pitch. Sound produced by a musical instrument is also an example of high pitch. In general, pitch is used to distinguish between shrill and grave sounds. Let us see an activity to differentiate between the sounds of different frequencies. Take few bottles of same type filled with water up to different length. Now, blow air from the mouth of each bottle. Here, it can be noticed that the sound from the bottle filled with water up to maximum level produces sound of highest pitch, and the sound from the bottle filled with water up to minimum level produces sound of lowest pitch. It is clear that men have low-pitched voices
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
and women have higher-pitched voices.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Our ears are also very good detectors of energy. A disco produces sound energy at a rate of about 40 watt, and we find this very noisy. If we have to light a disco with one electric bulb of 40 watt, everyone would complain that it is too dark. If we strike a drum lightly, we hear a soft sound because we produce a sound wave of less energy or small amplitude. If we hit the drum hard, we hear a loud sound as we have produced a sound wave of more energy or large amplitude. If we plot the graph of sounds, it can be noticed that loud sound has higher amplitude than that of soft sound. We know that the magnitude of maximum disturbance in the medium on either side of the mean value is called amplitude of the wave. Though it is hard to show amplitude in longitudinal waves, but sound waves definitely have amplitude. The louder the sound, the greater the tendency of the air molecules to be in high points of the waves, rather than in between the waves. Loud sounds produce waves of higher amplitude. The loudness or softness of sound is determined basically by its amplitude. The amplitude of the sound wave depends upon the force with which an object is made to vibrate. A loud sound can travel a larger distance as it is associated with higher energy. As the sound wave propagates, its associated energy spreads out from its source over a progressively larger area. As a result, the energy of the layers of air largely decreases with distance. Thereby, when a sound moves away from the source, its amplitude as well as its loudness decreases. That is why sound produced through a loudspeaker, being loud, can travel a larger distance as compared to the sound being produced by a human being. Same can be noticed with the sound produced by a lion and by a bird. The sound of the lion is of very high amplitude than that of the bird. Generally, we use the terms loudness and intensity interchangeably, but they are not the same. Intensity of sound is the amount of sound energy passing each second through unit area. In other words, it is the power per unit area, and loudness is a measure of the response of the ear to the sound. Even when two sounds are of equal intensity, we may hear one as louder than the other. This is simply because our ear detects it better. The loudness of sound is measured in decibels. However, this is not an absolute scale of the measurement. Sometimes, decibel is defined as the smallest change in volume that can be clearly perceived by a human ear. The lowest threshold of human hearing is of 0 decibels.
Hello.
It is a condition of near total silence. A sound of 10 decibels is 10 times more powerful than the 0 decibel sound.
Hello.
A sound of 20 decibels is 100 times more powerful.
Hello.
Whereas a sound of 30 decibels is 1000 times more powerful than that of 0 decibel sound.
Hello.
Let us see some examples of the sound of different loudness. Sound of leaves is very soft as it has a sound of very low amplitude with a loudness of 20 decibels. Normal sound of a human being is also a soft sound as it has low amplitude with loudness of 60 decibels. Sound of an engine of a vehicle is the example of sound of high amplitude with loudness in between 70 to 90 decibels. Sound of lightning is the example of sound of very high amplitude with loudness in between 100 to 110 decibels. The same sound will not be perceived in the same manner by all individuals. age is one factor that affects the human ear's response to sound. A sound of single frequency is called a tone. The sound which is produced due to a mixture of several frequencies is called a note. And it is pleasant to listen to, such as the sound produced by musical instruments. The quality or timbre of sound is another characteristic which enables our ears to distinguish one sound from another having the same pitch and loudness. For example, a note of frequency 256 Hz, this note can be played on a piano or a violin. Somebody listening to the two different sounds would recognize straight away whether the note is played on the piano or violin. The quality of the two notes is different. The quality of a note depends on the shape of its waveform. Although two notes may have the same frequency and amplitude, if their waveforms are of a different shape, our ears detect the difference in sound. The sound which is more pleasant is said to be of a rich quality. Music is pleasant to hear and is of rich quality. Sound which is of low quality is called noise. Noise is unpleasant to the ear. Guess which sound has a higher pitch? Guitar or drum beat? Yes, guitar has a sound of higher pitch.